Hi, come on in. I'm Jim Schuster, certified elder law attorney, and let's talk about what you should do when your parent or spouse will need long-term care. First, a couple of house cleaning items. First, when I say you, for example, if you are a child researching for a parent, the you I mean is really the person who's responsible for providing long-term care for the long-term care person. So if it's a spouse, then let's say if the wife needs long-term care, then we're talking about the husband. If we're talking about a surviving spouse, then we're talking about the case where, let's say, mom is relying on her daughter and the daughter's working for mom, who's ultimately responsible for her care. So with that note, let's go to the next one. There is a difficult situation of the blended family, or we might say the second marriage, where there's children of one or both spouses. In that case, no matter who needs long-term care, it is important to involve the whole family, or the whole families, if you will, because believe me, when it comes to blended families, long-term care issues can be explosive and very dividing. So if you bring everybody together at the table at once, you have a lot better success. With that, let's go to the 7 steps you should take to form your long-term care plan. The first step is to know the medical condition, and this is probably pretty obvious to you, but you really want to know what is the condition, what kind of complications we can expect, what sort of adaptations or needs will we make to the home. For example, if we have a person who has mobility impairments, then clearly we need to make access adjustments. We have to maybe redo the entire bathroom so he or she can take care of bathing with or without the help of a caregiver. If we're talking with somebody with cognitive impairments, then we really want to make the home safe, because we sure don't want them going out the door at 2 a.m. in the middle of January. The second step is to total your resources. And by resources, let's break that down into 2 parts. The first part is financial. And of course, here we're talking about all the savings, checkings, IRAs, 401ks, whatever you may have, whatever cash is available to you. What is that total? You want to bring it all together. Don't forget insurance policies if there's cash surrender value in them. And a special note on IRAs or 401ks, since you're making payments for care for the chronically ill individual, then that means you have a medical expense deduction under the IRS tax rules. And that could mean that you might just get your money out of your IRA almost tax-free. See your accountant on that one. The second big issue in the financial resources column is the home. Many people don't look at the home as an available asset, but some do. And here's what I mean. Is the home available for long-term care expenses? And here we look at reverse mortgage as a possible way of getting money out of the home. 2, what if husband and wife decide to move to an alternate care facility? And I've seen that many times happen where, let's say, the husband has dementia, the wife is taking care of the home, but she can't take care of all the property and the roof and the gutters and the leaves and the snow and the grass cutting and you name it. She'd really find life simpler. She can move to a senior apartments where she can socialize with the ladies, etc., etc. Will the home be sold and help pay for the monthly rent? What is the value of the home? And finally, the home in that sense, especially if there's a second marriage issue, is the home meant to be saved for inheritance? What is the role of the home in the long-term care scheme of things? The second part of your resources are your human resources, and here we're talking about putting your team together. Of course, there's going to be a primary caregiver. If it's husband and wife, then it'll be the spouse. But if it's a surviving spouse, then it's whatever child of that parent will be stepping up to be the main caregiver. But aside from the main caregiver, who is the alternate? Who are the successors? Long-term caregiving or caregiving in a long-term care setting can be very demanding on health. In fact, we've had many cases where the so-called healthy caregiver spouse has to go to the hospital or even dies before the caregiver spouse is ready to leave the home. What then? What is the alternate caregiver? Who's going to step up? What if the caregiver spouse is in the hospital, will get out? Well, who's going to be the alternate? Who's going to take care of business until the spouse can come back home? I think you can play that out in your mind and see where that goes. The other part of the putting your human resource team together is, especially if you have everybody at the table to discuss the issues of long-term care and the plan and putting the plan together, you will find that you'll have a lot less conflict and strife later on down the road. And this is so especially true if you're dealing with a blended family. So put the whole team together, break down the roles, have everybody hands on deck. You'll find out you'll be a lot farther ahead. The third step of your long-term care plan is learning what government benefits are available and what can they do. Now for Medicare, you absolutely want to get a copy of the booklet Medicare New. It's available from the Medicare website. It's free. You want to very carefully read that booklet and find out what benefits are available under all situations. And in the process, you might find that now's the time to change the Medicare plan. You also want to learn about the Medicaid benefit. What will it provide for in-home long-term care help, if anything? And most plans do provide some help. What are its requirements and qualification issues that you might have to address? If you're a low-income, low-asset person, then Medicaid is going to be very high on your list. If you're a person with abundant savings, then Medicaid might be very low on the list. The next one is extremely important: veterans benefits. If either spouse is a veteran of any stripe, and if the veteran is a wartime veteran, now you can talk about the special improved pension, the aid and attendance benefit many people know it as. That could provide thousands and thousands of dollars a year in cash benefits, tax-free, to help with the long-term care plan. And finally, part of the government resources, what about the local community availability of things like chore service or Meals on Wheels? All these things put together can really help round out your long-term care plan. The fourth step is knowing the problems of caregiving. And this breaks into two categories. One is the physical toll that caregiving can take on the caregiver. And we've had many cases where the so-called healthy spouse has died first. Really, it is, and even with child caregivers, many times the children caregivers will find their health starts to fail, maybe because they can't attend to their own needs, just maybe because of the exhaustion of being a full-time, on-call, 24 hours around-the-clock caregiver. Be prepared for problems with the primary caregiver, have your alternate or successor in place, and always look to provide the whole team. Because one thing I've heard time and again, caregiving is a lonely occupation. Nobody wants to visit. I can't go out and do anything but take care of mom or dad or my husband or my wife. A caregiver does need a lot of support and help. Put that in as part of your plan. The second area of caregiver problems is the area of compensation. Now, compensation falls into two categories: family compensation and non-family compensation. In family compensation, if we're talking about a paycheck, then that person is essentially the same as non-family. And what I mean is, a paid caregiver, whether family or non-family, is an employee under the IRS rules. And that means the employer, mom, dad, whomever it is, the employer must pay the employment taxes. That includes the issues of income tax, FICA taxes, Medicare, and Social Security. Now, if it's a non-family employee, we often bring in an additional wrinkle. And here it goes with the issue of state labor laws. What if we don't like what the the non-family employee, what if she's the lady in the neighborhood who works for cash under the table? Well, what if we don't like the job she's doing? For whatever reason, we tell her, don't come in Monday, we've had alternate plans. She can file a claim for unemployment benefits. Or perhaps even worse, what if our non-family caregiver is carrying a load of laundry down the stairs, trips, falls, busts up her knee and shoulder, goes to the hospital and needs surgery? Who will pay for her surgery? Well, as an employee, you better have workers' compensation insurance, because otherwise you'll be paying it out of your own bank account. The fifth step in putting together your long-term care plan is evaluate out-of-home alternate care options. Here I mean things like senior apartments with additional services, assisted living, or nursing homes. Now, with nursing homes, you can find out their quality by going to the Medicare.gov website and reviewing them under their quality measures. There you'll find the star rating system from 1 to 5 stars. For other facilities, such as assisted living or senior apartments, some are licensed, and that way you can go to the state reviewing agency and see what you can find on what their annual reviews say, but most seem to be private. And essentially then your resort is to take the tour, but especially then talk to family members who have loved ones in the facility and just see if the care lives up to the promises made to you on the tour. With any of these alternate care services, you really want to carefully review the contract. And here's a tip. You should have the person staying at the facility sign the contract if he or she can. A child should never sign the contract, and a spouse may sign the contract because, after all, spouses are financially responsible for each other under most laws. When you review the contract, you might find that whomever should sign the contract, even a child, might be responsible for all the bills no matter what. 2, when you review the contract, one of the things you might carefully look for are the termination provisions. 2 situations. 1, let's say you've placed mom in the facility and there's just this lady that, for whatever reason, picks a fight. She makes mom miserable, and maybe it's her roommate even, and she can't sleep all night. So you want to terminate the contract because the facility will not make any adjustment whatsoever. If you look at the contract termination provisions, what do they say? Do you have to give 30 days notice? What if you've been working with this place and they kept promising and promising but they never deliver? Should you have to wait 30 days more? 2, if you have a deposit, will you get your deposit back if the reason you're moving is because of their failure to live up to their agreement? 3, will you get a refund on any advance payments? Now let's turn that around just a little bit. Suppose that your loved one is the one subject to complaints. And let's just say that we have placed dad in there, and now they claim that dad's being aggressive. And you say that can't be his problem, etc., etc., but the facility says we want him out. Well, 1, what kind of notice do they have to give? 30 days? Nothing at all? 2, we get your deposit back, a refund on any advance payments. 3, will they make any effort to assist you in finding an alternate care facility? Once again, carefully review the contract. The 6th step is to put your plan together. You have totaled the financial resources, and you have now see how much you can afford to pay for long-term care, how much you will pay for long-term care, how much will be available for the healthy spouse, if there is one, how much will you allocate for inheritance, if anything at all. The second thing you will have done is you reviewed your human resources and put your team together, and that way you should be ready for whatever life throws at you. The main caregiver is in the hospital, you have your alternate ready to step up. You have your whole team in place on the field, ready to go no matter what happens. The third part of that, what government benefits will help you round out your care plan? How are you going to apply for them? For example, I mentioned the VA benefit, aid and attendance benefit, also known as special improved pension. That does have net worth limitations, by the way, and it does have income considerations that you'll want to know about. Also, it has particular medical requirements. So if you're going to apply for the VA special improved pension, you really want to consult with an expert in that area and maybe a VA qualified attorney. Also, if a nursing home is an absolute part of the plan, and then you'll be looking for Medicaid to pay, you'll really want to get into the subject of Medicaid planning, because Medicaid does have what they call a 5-year look back, and Medicaid has the right to review all of your financial transactions for the 5 years before you apply for Medicaid benefits. The 7th step, review your plan with professionals. As I indicated earlier, you might want to review with your accountant on the issue of, can I get that money out of the IRA essentially tax-free? How much of a medical expense can I deduct? 2, also if I'm hiring employees, caregivers who are under the law employees. What taxes should I pay? What kind of coverage should I have? You want to consult with an elder law attorney who will review your plan and see if he or she sees any problems with it. Of course, you'll need your legal documents. You need your estate plan, your wills, your trusts, and also you'll want your powers of attorney, especially the medical or healthcare power of attorney, because one thing we found out as we've gone on over the years, medical care, healthcare, is less and less doctor and patient. It's more patient and the insurance system and the big, huge hospital system. And all to deal with those, you need your papers must be in order. In other words, you need a full health care power of attorney, and of course you need advance directives. Some call it a living will. You need all of those to be ready for whatever happens. Those are the 7 steps, and if you really well perform all 7 steps, I think you'll find you'll put together a plan that is the best possible way you can deal with whatever life should throw at you. You'll be ready to deal with it. And now in closing, I will say that we virtually flew over this subject matter almost like an airplane at 10,000 feet or higher. And I think you could see after you reflect on it that we could spend a whole weekend symposium and you'd still have unanswered questions. So I suggest that you want to consult with an elder law attorney. Have any questions for me, send them to jim@jimschuster.com or visit our website, jimschuster.com. Good luck, good day, wish you all the best.